You know, you hear a lot of things about attorneys, some good, some not so good. But the nice thing about attorneys, they are there to do some good work. And we have an example of that right now. Drexel Bradshaw is with us right now with Bradshaw and Associates. And Drexel, you guys are doing pro bono work for a couple of different organizations, aren't you?
That's correct, Jay.
Yeah, one of them was AIDS Legal Referral Panel.
That's right, and the other is the Volunteer Legal Services Program through the Bar Association of San Francisco.
Okay, now I know people who have been involved in this before and have helped people who need help, but generally speaking, how do people get help from an attorney without having to pay for it?
Well, if they can qualify for the various referral panels that we're talking about, they call the panel, go through an intake process to ascertain what their legal need is, and then the staff attorneys in those organizations refer out to a host of attorneys in the area. There are lots of guys that do what we do.
Yeah, and typically, who do you help?
We help people that are HIV positive, and we help people that are low income from those two different referral sources.
Yeah, people who are HIV positive who are having legal problems with a broad variety of things, I would imagine.
Well, not a broad variety. Our firm focuses on aggressive landlord-tenant litigation, rent control litigation, specifically in San Francisco. And we also do family law referrals from the Bar Association.
Okay, tell me about the rent problem. I do know people who've had problems with landlords.
Well, it's especially critical for low-income people who are on disability, suffering from HIV or AIDS, whose landlords are trying to evict them. And when you're in a long-term tenancy, naturally there's a push on the part of the landlord to get you out so they can raise the rent to market.
Exactly, yeah.
We provide aggressive representation in establishing and maintaining tenancies and helping people fight back those efforts of their landlords to raise their rent.
Yeah, well, people in that situation usually have no place to turn.
Exactly.
You know. How did you get involved in it?
It's
decide that I want to do some of this work and give back to the community, that kind of thing.
I think that's an important component of every attorney's obligation. We live a fairly decent life, and we get to help lots of people, and it's important to help people that can't necessarily afford our services.
Yeah.
It's been an important component of the bar since time began.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about that for yourself. I mean, you have your own firm, you do all the litigation you have to do, but how does that make you feel when you say, I can do this other kind of work? I mean, is it a genuine, deep down feeling that people have?
Absolutely. It feels wonderful to be able to help people that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford your services.
Yeah.
And they get the same level of aggressive representation that any high-paying client would receive.
Yeah. When you say aggressive, it sort of scares me. I wanted to back off. I wanted to back off there a little bit. When you say aggressive, it's well, people need that, don't they?
Exactly. If the landlord's pushing hard,
you have to fight back.
If the landlord's pushing hard, the tenant's got to push back harder.
Yeah. And there's a lot of this that goes on in the Bay Area or in San Francisco?
Absolutely. It's a fairly specialized area of law. There may be half a dozen firms in this town that handle rent control litigation, and I'd like to think that we're one of the preeminent ones. And when the landlord sees that we're representing the tenant, it puts them in a bit of a much stronger position.
I happen to know of a case situation where somebody has disability, and they use all kinds of various methods to get people out. They either move in someone who's an obnoxious neighbor, there's a lot of tricks, and most landlords are fine, but there are some who are causing these kind of problems. There are lots of methods that people use to get those people out, aren't there?
There are, and the important thing is to understand the tricks from both sides of the aisle. We represent both landlords and tenants. So I understand the tricks that are coming down the pike when I represent a tenant, and I understand the tricks that are coming from a tenant when we represent landlords.
Yeah.
It puts us in a very strong position to be able to see what's coming and to ward it off before it becomes a problem.
And especially in an area like San Francisco where it's so compact and rents are at a premium, people do need help. Okay, let's mention again, Drexel Bradshaw has been our guest. He does pro bono work and helps people out who need help. Drexel, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming. Don't scare me again like that, okay?
I'll do my best.
All right, thanks for watching. Thanks, Drexel.